Namaste, Raghuram garu.
Thank you, Satyavani garu. It's nice to be with Smriti. Very good.
Thank you so much. And welcome again to Smriti. Smriti is an endeavor to create a service, a platform, building a repository of Vedic wisdom, a Vedic knowledge database organically, honoring our rishis, scholars, and contemporary scholars like we have one today, Dr. N.V. Raghuram garu. I would like to introduce him. Coming to a quick introduction of Smriti itself, we are building a repository, as mentioned, through recollection and reproduction of imparted knowledge passed on from ages, through content curation, synthesizing the body of knowledge in building a collected set of community source, a community space, provide a means of dialogue and discussion, documentation of experiences living the very nature of the wisdom. Smriti spotlights information and knowledge and makes it easier to understand. And introducing myself, this is Satyavani Kakarla, an engineer by study, an enthusiast in learning our ancient body of knowledge through self-inquiry and engaging in conversations, learning from others to integrate the wisdom and consciousness of present-day living. Smriti came about as an idea, a project, a program, an effort and passion to preserve our wisdom. So we have our esteemed scholar today here, Dr. N.V. Raghuram garu. And thank you so much, Raghuram garu, for your time. And you've always graced and made a difference in my life and in many lives around the world. And our journey has, should I say, is there a beginning or an end? But since a decade,
yes,
2009 through Yoga Bharati, and you have visited us at our home. I have visited you in Bangalore. And all such great memories I carry and cherish them every time, every day. And it has all made a difference. Thank you. Brief intro before we begin the discussion today for Smriti. Raghuram garu, he is a civil engineer by study, and he has dedicated his entire life in the world of yoga and Indian philosophy, been traveling all around, giving us this beautiful message, carrying, he's a living example of true yoga. He's a founder member of Vivekananda Yoga Anusandhana University, Vyasa it is called, from Bangalore. He's a chairman of Yoga Bharati since 2003. He has an experience in setting up yoga therapy consultation and research projects all around, primarily in MD Anderson Cancer Research Center in Houston. He has been working with them, collaborating in yoga therapy and imparting so much knowledge there. He has collaborated at Colorado State University Asthma Research Center. He's a world traveler, as I mentioned. He travels to Germany, working in yoga therapy at neurology department at Hospital Stift, KWA Hospital it is called in Germany, Griesbach. He has also been a delegate in educational discussions for UN previously. He has activities in Turkey and other countries, training several hundred teachers in yoga. And the list goes on from the time I've known, but more than anything, he's such a lovely person to talk to. Whenever I reach out to him with any insights that I'm seeking, he's always there, and his smile is so radiant, and you always resonate in his presence. And Thank you so much, Raghuram Garu. Hope I've done a bit of justice to what I wanted to say, but I would dedicate another episode of Life Works. And coming back to Smriti, that please address our viewers here today, and then we can go from there.
Namaste to the Smriti viewers and participants. My heart is with the Smriti because it's a project which is close to the heart of Satyavani, and that's how we are very closely connected. The important thing is this is a project which is very important in my view, because the simple thing is that a knowledge, a wisdom that has been there for more than 6,000-7,000 years, all those Upanishads and all that, all the Vedas, if it has to survive vibrantly for these 6,000-7,000 years, basically one important idea is that every time that people interact and all that, discussions go on, that this knowledge has been contemporarized. Essentially, that this Smriti is now actually making it as contemporary. That's a wonderful journey.
Thank you, Andy. Going to a small question I have, but it is a related question. Yoga is so well known around the world. People are really treating it as a gold mine. Everybody is grabbing something out of it, and it has in myriad shapes and whatever tastes and whatever vikaras sometimes we may call it our languages. And so what is your current opinion of the state of yoga? We call yoga, however it is perceived. What does how are you seeing it as a person who has experienced and lived it, and its practice in today's world? That is my first question.
Actually, when we take the pyramidal model, pyramid has a large base.
Correct.
And then as it comes up and up and up, it becomes shorter and shorter. So when 100 years back, Swami Vivekananda is the first person who introduced about the idea of yoga in the West.
Right.
And then several people from the West came to India, they learned, and later on, our own Swamijis used to go there and introduce yoga. So this way that now a lot of amalgamation has taken place. It is a wonderful thing that in a short span of 100 years that it has spread to this wide acceptance all over the world in the name of yoga. Because the simple thing is that the way that I look at it is, yoga is such a deep science, is such a deep philosophy, and also it is connected with so much of human experience that it's very difficult for somebody to get into all that fathom of it. So whatever that they could pick it up, whatever that they could practice, they could put into that. That's what they have practiced in the name of yoga. Somebody picked up asanas, somebody picked up kriyas, somebody picked up meditation, and somebody has picked up just doing some bhajan, kirtan and all that, like Hare Krishna people. Like that, it has gone various areas in this particular world, it has come up. Now, out of these hundreds and thousands of people who have taken up various aspects of it, when they wanted to go further journey, the next level, then naturally that they started inquiring about what is next, what is more deeper in the particular things. So this way, the journey continued to a point where today, a lot of people who are interested not just only the practices of various asanas or meditation, things like that, they are deeply interested in the philosophy. That is supposed to be the base from India that has come up, because people looked at India for getting the further guidance. So therefore, the bonus of responsibility of taking it in the right direction, giving the information to the people, we own it. In fact, we people from this particular culture, from which this yoga era arisen, so we have the responsibility to give them the right kind of an attitude, right kind of an activity, and all those things, which is now really happening. So I'm very happy the way that yoga is now going all over the world.
Right.
Now, there is one more information I would like to say is that Swamiji, when he gave the ideas of yoga in the West, he said one thing, that the best of the East should meet with best of the West. That means to say best of the East is supposed to be this yoga and philosophy, Best of the West is the research facility that the West has proven so many things in the science. And that has caught up our imagination and then said, all right, why not we put ourselves in that way? Therefore, we produce so many research papers, more than 1,000 research papers in the field of yoga application. Now, with that research papers being published, now even the elite educated university scholars and people, they're attracted towards yoga. If they are attracted, that means educated people get attracted and they start practicing. It's easy for others to uh, follow them, and then this is one aspect of it. The second aspect of it is that there was something like yoga is connected with the religion kind of a thing people used to feel about it. So a lot of people, therefore, they were almost like guarded themselves against yoga. But today, because it has become a research science and research into various papers and all those things, therefore, now it has crossed that idea that it is connected with the religion, but it is something which is more like a science, adaptable by everybody. This is a healthy sign in the field of yoga that it has happened. And people don't have to change their religion, their belief, their faiths, and this and that. All that can be there, but still that they can take yoga. And there is important aspect of yoga is that yoga is like an entry point to give various Indian philosophy ideas, because when we talk about yoga, naturally we can't leave Bhagavad Gita behind it, where every chapter is a yoga. We can't leave Ramayana behind it, where Vasishtha gave the teaching to Rama, which is also yoga. And then Patanjali, who has given us the Yoga Sutras, that we cannot leave them behind. So this way, that yoga becomes like a window through which all good aspects of our culture, it can go across the globe. That's advantage.
I'm always awed at how you deliver and how you connect, and but this is the beauty of it while speaking.
Yeah.
It's an unique opportunity and privilege, and to the viewers as well to hear from you.
Yeah.
Beautiful, thank you. And but what is going a bit deeper? We have talked so much about research, science, and a bit of everyday living. We can go back to each of those and bring out more information about it. To continue on, a follow-up question is, what is yoga in true sense? We can start from there.
In fact, now that is what I was next planning to connect this idea of yoga to what Smriti that you have said that it is for the spiritual journey that we are thinking of. This is something which is very unique and important. Let me give you that idea about it. See, before going for that, let me say that Patanjali is supposed to be the one who has given us the formulae for yoga, Yoga Sutras. It is like the way that Euclid has given us the geometrical sutras. We follow the Euclid geometry. But then Euclid has not created geometry. Geometry was always there. Euclid only has given the sutras which can be applied to everything. Similarly, yoga has always been there in the sculpture right from the beginning. Only Patanjali has given us the sutras for yoga, which can be applied to various different aspects or practices of yoga. Now, and this while giving the sutras of yoga, Patanjali has given us the purpose of definition and purpose of yoga. It is very important. And once we are clear about that, then we will not have any doubts in between. The simple thing is that he said that yoga chitta vritti nirodha tatha drashtuhu swarupe avasthanam vritti sarupya mitaratra. In these three sutras, he gives us a very beautiful picture that deep inside you are the swarupa, you are the Brahman, you are the Atman. Atman means that it is saying I. And then there are layers of my being that is there on top of it. And the outermost layer is my body, my senses. And then the senses interact with the world and create the vritti. And therefore, vritti takes me to the world outside. And it is necessary. I need to interact with the world outside. It's very much important. When Patanjali said that vritti is taking you to the world outside, he did not have any ill feeling about that. He said that's the purpose of your mind and vritti is to go into the world outside. In fact, vritti is necessary in everybody's life. And it's not one vritti, we are doing several vrittis. Therefore, we call it the work that we do outside is called as vritti. We go to the
Right.
vritti and vritti has dharma and all those things. We say
Mm.
Patanjali never had any negative idea about vritti
Mm.
because the mind is capable of doing the vritti. Mind also is capable of getting out of vritti and come back to the self. So one direction is going to the world, another direction going back to the self. Patanjali provides us that aspect of it. Deep inside our self itself is the spirit of us, and being identified with that is what is called as spirituality. Being identified with the world is supposed to be the materialism. So this is a clear difference between when you go out of yourself and then get caught up in the world outside, it is materialism. When you go deep, involve in the world as much as necessary, but get back into yourself, that is a person who is a spiritual person. So this is how yoga is the tool to make us a spiritual journey, provided we understand it that way. In this process, that there are several things that are involved, like practices like asanas, physical postures, pranayama, bandhas, mudras. The people can get caught up in those things because they have also have some beneficial effects. Somebody's headache can go, somebody's diabetes can be overcome, and somebody can develop better concentration. N number of things are possible, and therefore it attracts a lot of people towards this particular journey. Few people are the people who can take up this journey further, go more into research, and not only that, go into more of an experience inside. They go to the levels of samadhi. So ultimately, they reach that state where they become one with the Ishvara. That is what Patanjali gives us, that when the pure mind that is there, bereft of, removed from all the other vasanas, impressions, etc., etc., and that what you are is supposed to be uh, Ishvara. Klesha karma vipakashaihi paramrishta Purusha Visheshaha Ishvara. That means extraordinary pure Purusha that is there within you, which is supposed to be Ishvara. So, very clear Patanjali in putting this, but unfortunately, what happened is some of the supposed to be so-called Vedantic people, they somehow separated yoga from Vedanta, saying that I'm interested in Vedanta spirituality, not in yoga, because that there are some people who have taken yoga to the physical level and they all kinds of marketing that they were doing it. Probably that's the reason why they wanted to safeguard that. But I think we crossed that time. Today we are able to integrate both of them together, yoga and Vedanta. As Krishna said, that in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna very beautifully said that one who sees the Sankhya and yoga not two separate things, and he is the person who understands yoga and Sankhya also equally well. Yat Sankhya prapyate sthanam tad yogairapi gamyate. Ekam Sankyam cha yogam cha yah pashyati sapashyati. So whatever that is supposed to be the end point of yoga, that is what is the same end point for the Sankhya also. That Sankhya prapyate sthanam tat yogai api gamyate. Ekam Sankyam cha yogam cha, these two things are two sides of the same coin. Yah pashyati, such a person is the person who really sees, who is the right kind of a person who sees. So that is how the whole thing is supposed to be, a journey of human being, inward journey to go towards that. The big difference that happened in the West is that West always investigated to the world outside. They never investigated the inner world. Whereas it was a prerogative of Indian culture that right from the beginning our pursuit has been to see that, all right, world is there outside, make it in such a way that it is useful, but beyond that, try to inquire within. Avrutta chakshuhu amrutatva michan. Amrutatva is there. This is what our philosophy, our culture has always been said. This idea is so alien to the Western people, particularly those when they did not come in contact with the Indian philosophy. So for them, whatever that yoga, the outer layers of yoga, whatever that they could see, they only took that and then they said, this is yoga. That was the only problem that was there. Otherwise, yoga is such a extraordinary, wonderful science, which now they are understanding about that. Unfortunately, what happened is some of the Indians are influenced by the Western model because a lot of things West they have liked it. So now they are importing that kind of yoga into India. We also have Vikram yoga, Hatha yoga. These are the things which are coming up yoga. And of course, yeah, they get cleansed for a period of time. I have no doubt about it. And there is another very important aspect I see the way today that we have this International Day of Yoga, and it is spread all over the world. In fact, day after, 20th is the International Day of Yoga.
It's coming up.
Yes.
Today's June 11th. Yeah, 10 days. Yes.
Just now I got delayed because I was talking to the people that they wanted to have it in London, the program ISIS here, and then they invited me to give a talk. So I'm going to give a talk for them. But in any case, that there, if you look at the logo of International Day of Yoga, there are three important things that are there. One is called as peace, second is harmony, and third is health. So, and yoga enters all over the world with these three things, and then these three things are important for everybody. Particularly health is very important, and then second thing is this world is so much gripped in the violence that's going on, and one simple solution which can remove this violence and bring the world together, the tool that can be possible is, in my view, yoga. Because I see Muslim countries and Christian countries and various African countries, everybody is now practicing yoga. So therefore, when you talk about yoga, the world becomes one family. So that is the capacity, that's the power of yoga. So I feel that we should be able to harness that aspect of it. Second thing is World Health Organization, long time back, has said that our focus should not be sickness, our focus should be health. Because you look at the whole medical practice, it is so much focused on the sickness, but then it is never focused on the health. They gave that idea, but they did not know how to achieve that. And in order to get that health as a focus, the most important aspect is the Indian philosophy and Ayurveda. These are the things whose focus is not sickness, focus is health, and your nature itself is health. Sickness is when you deviate from yourself. So therefore, it is something which is really very important for the future of the medicine, future of the medical science. This is something which is very important. So now itself, when we start take it further all over the world, probably that we can have a healthier society, a harmonious society, and a peaceful society outside.
Beautiful. Yes, when I was mentioning about the Smriti project, and you have breadth of knowledge, you can talk on any philosophy that comes to our Sanatana Dharma. And so you rightly picked that you would like to extend speaking on yoga and integrating that with Vedanta. So our topic chosen for Smriti is yoga and Vedanta. So beautifully said. You've already walked us. You gave tidbits here and there if you were really following you. But we will go deeper into those aspects in the future episodes. And but before we begin that, people start with that yoga, the observation, the dhatu, the roots of the pada itself. Any information on that, please?
Okay, a couple of things I would like to bring about in this particular area. In Sanskrit, every word, every idea comes with originates from a dhatu pada. Dhatu is very important. That's how basically in Sanskrit is the only language where you say anything, we can always question why it is said like that. A table is called as a table. Why do you call it as table? In Sanskrit, you can ask that kind of a question. That means it must have the origin from where it comes as a dhatu pada. Like, for example, dhru, dharitri, earth. Basically, it has come from dhru dhatu. Dhru dhatu gives us stability, strength, and all that. Like that. Similarly, yuj is a dhatu. And yuj is something which yokes together, which brings together, which harmonizes without losing the independence and individuality of two things. So this is what is yuj. That means to say your work in the world outside and your deep internal spiritual nature, both of them are intact together, and then you bring them together in a nice way. This is what yuj dhatu says, yoga bringing together. This is one aspect of it. Second aspect of it is the idea of yoga. It is, we also say yogam. That means to say, that means this is written for me. This is my what is coming for me, and it comes for me because basically that I have really worked for that. I've disciplined myself. I hardened myself. Therefore, tatha yogam avapsyasi. Such a person will get this particular aspect of yoga. So therefore, it is a science which is actually disciplining you. And the discipline is natural in the other species by nature. But in human being, we need to consciously work on the discipline. That's what yoga gives us. And the third important point about yoga I wanted to just clarify for all the listeners is, in Sanskrit language, we write a letter and we say it fully. That means to say, when we have to say half letter, we put the sign saying that vak, their ka is not full letter. Whereas when we say ka, it is full ka. Whereas in the North India, in Hindi, when they speak about last letter is always full letter they write, but they speak half letter. They always speak half letter. Like that's why Rama is a full letter, whereas in North India it becomes Ram. And it is so in Hindi it's okay. So there are some yogis who speak in Hindi and language is Hindi and they speak about yoga, it's okay for them. But then they try to find fault with people saying it as yoga. In Sanskrit, it is a full letter, therefore we call it as yoga based on the Sanskrit. Therefore, this small little clarity that we should have should not fight on these small little simple things. Another very important idea about yoga is that when Krishna is giving the definition of yoga to Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita, the purpose is Arjuna has to understand about the value of the karma that he is supposed to do. Therefore, his definition of yoga is focused towards that, yoga karma sukhaushalam. Whereas Rama was in depression, therefore Vasishta, when he addresses Rama, he gives a definition of yoga, which is supposed to be different from that, and it's saying that your mind is unnecessarily locked up in a shell. Bring out mind from that shell. That's why he says that mana prashamana upayaha yoga ityabhidiyate. Like that he gives. Patanjali is really taken up yoga as a scholarly way, science way. Therefore, Patanjali's definition of yoga, chitta vritti nirodha, the disturbances, oscillation that are there in the mind, in the mental area, calm down that so that you can transcend the mind. This is a simple idea Patanjali gives. We have 3 areas of definition of yoga.
So nice. Thank you, Gaurav. You have lucidly, very clearly, really touched upon the main points, a premise that we have set up today for the future episodes. And thank you again for your time. And we should continue with of our yoga journey. I'm so excited. I'm sure I'm speaking on behalf of my viewers. They are too. And please welcome back again. And thank you. Namaste all.
Namaste. Hari Om.